Hi, welcome back. If you haven't been here before, my name's Lee, and on this channel I cover world affairs, world events and geopolitics. And today I want to speak about the USA and how they are escalating or about to escalate the Ukraine conflict. And the reason behind this, or why they're going to escalate the conflict, is that they're now considering sending Patriot air defense systems to Ukraine. And I've also heard some speculation and rumor, bear in mind it's only rumor at the moment, that they're also considering sending Reaper drones to the region as well, to Ukraine. Now, in a previous video I spoke about how Boris Johnson stood up in the House of Commons and pledged that we should be sending all the latest air defense systems to Ukraine, as well as fixed wing aircraft and long range missiles. Now, up to now, the USA has resisted sending the Patriot air defense system to Ukraine, and also any sort of more advanced drones. And as far as I'm aware, these Reaper drones that they're thinking about sending are the older versions, but there's been an argument between the US Air Force and the Pentagon over this, in the sense that they're concerned, and this goes for the Patriot air defense system too, that if some of these systems are captured by Russia, which they inevitably will be, the Russians will reverse engineer them, and that will open up the technology. There's also a couple of other reasons why they've been reluctant to send these Patriot missile systems. The first being that, let's say for example, if these Patriot missile air defense systems don't perform that well against Russian missile and drone strikes, well, this will then expose to the world the weakness of America's air defense systems. We already saw some months ago when some Yemeni rebels attacked oil facilities in Saudi Arabia, that the Patriots didn't work, and those missiles were able to penetrate Saudi Arabian territory and destroy some oil infrastructure. So I think America are very nervous to see some failure of the Patriot missile system in use in Ukraine against the Russians. And the second reason is that, and this was highlighted by Brian Barrett on his the new Atlas channel, that they don't have a large amount of ammunition for the Patriot missile systems, and in fact there are only something like 250 missiles manufactured each year. Now, Lockheed have said they're going to increase that, but it's going to take several years to double that production up to 500. Now, if you look at the rate of missiles that Russia fire into Ukrainian territory, it can be up to as many as 90 a day. Now, the Ukrainians, and as is standard practice, will fire 2 anti-missile defense missiles into the air. So just one raid could account for 150 to 200 of those Patriot missiles. So they're very, very quickly, at the rate of use by the Ukrainians, and we've seen this with much of their other ammunition, they could quickly burn through those Patriot missiles, and there'll be shortage not only in America but around the world. And as Brian alluded to, they're probably scratching all around the world to try and get some supply of those missiles for Ukraine. Now, something interesting that Brian also mentioned was it normally takes months and months to train crews on these Patriot missile systems. They're quite complex. It's not something you can just sort of pull up with in a truck and start firing them off. They're fairly complex systems. But apparently they're now going to train Ukrainians in Germany, but this would take months. So if they're going to put them into operation quickly, it's very likely that they will use European NATO forces to actually operate these within Ukraine. Now, how do you think Russia are going to see that? It's an obvious escalation of the war, and Russia are bound to respond to this because they will see it as NATO getting directly involved in the war. Now, the other thing is, why are they, after resisting for so long, why are they now sending these Patriot missile systems and considering sending Reaper drones? Well, this is because it's obvious that Ukraine are losing the war. And this is something that NATO themselves have said can just not happen. They cannot have a scenario where Ukraine loses the war. So slowly but surely, the West and NATO are stepping up the weapons they're sending to Ukraine, the sophistication of those weapons, because they're getting desperate, more and more desperate by the day. We've already had many reports of the, well, not from the Western media, of course, but even some reports now are starting to leak out of Western media about the situation in Bakhmut. It's very, very dire for the Ukrainians. Hundreds, if not thousands, of soldiers are getting killed each day. And there's even been reporting one newspaper, I forget which one it is now, but that was saying that Ukrainian soldiers are turning up on the front lines in Bakhmut and they haven't even held or fired a weapon before. So this just shows you that the trouble Ukraine are in. Yeah, I mean, it's the situation is really deteriorating, and this is why the West are now talking about sending much more sophisticated weapon systems, like Boris mentioned, fixed-wing aircraft, long-range missiles, more modern air defense systems, more modern drones, because literally they are getting more and more desperate. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments down below. I think it's a very, very dangerous situation because they are pushing Russia further and further against a wall, and at some point Russia are going to retaliate. As far as the UK is concerned, the UK is within easily striking distance of Russia, and I think by Boris Johnson saying what he was saying is really putting the UK in some sort of danger, as well as Russia having missile capabilities to reach the USA. I just think people should be sitting down, trying to get to a negotiating table, not escalating this conflict more and more. Anyway, as always, for now, take care.